Oh, welcome back, dispatchers. Now, last week I started by being honest. I said, hey, things have not been good. But you want to know what's worse than last week? This week. Let's be honest, things have not improved. Now, where do I go? How do we start an episode by talking about how bad things are? Well, let's talk about, let's run through the numbers. Bitcoin down 10.8%. Oh, I'm going to show you Saylor's down bad in a second. Ethereum also down bad. What are we down? 21% or something?
Yeah, it's more. Yeah, thanks, Jared.
You know what? Ethereum's down so bad it actually lost second place to USDT for market cap.
Just briefly, but that was That's crazy.
Cardano down 27%. Jared, I can't even make jokes at this point. It's just horrendous. Charles Hoskin came out and said, "Look, boys, pack it up. We're done. It is over." Now,
Did he?
he may as well have. Now,
that would have been the logical thing to do. Yeah,
just pack it up, boys. Jared, let's bring up that slide. This is how well we're going. Since Trump took office, are you sick and tired of winning? Bitcoin down 44%. Trump down 97%. Melania down 100%. Let's call it. Everything is down bad. Look, I know he said we'll be so tired of winning, but I don't know if I'm tired of winning.
Yeah,
I think I'm just tired. I'm just tired, boss. You know what else is down? Not everything. That's not true. Everything's down. Fear and greed is down at 10.
Yeah.
Now, I don't know what that means, but I can tell you it is in the bottom 1% of all historical readings.
Yeah, it's low.
Yep.
It's low.
Yep. So let's put this in perspective. This week's crash. Now, let's dissect the crash. There's a couple of people saying, maybe it was Saylor's Saylor coming out and selling it caused the catalyst for the thing. And he goes, dude, it ain't me. It's all the money that's going into the AI IPOs. It's all the money that's gone into the SpaceX IPO. It's just sucking liquidity out of the market. And everything's going into these new, where the new hot money is going into. And I know we talked about the Schiller PE ratio last week and we said, it's pretty high. Well, I guess the market's listened because we also saw a big sell-off in just the broader market. Yeah. Everything was bad. But the big news, the one thing that is definitely up, I said there was something, was the SpaceX IPO. The SpaceX IPO has been taking a lot of attention. Now, does anyone want to hazard a guess of how large this IPO is in terms of how much money they're raising?
I don't need to guess, but...
Oh, tell me then.
75 bill.
And prior to this IPO, what was the largest IPO in IPO history? Or at least according to my Google search.
That I don't know.
Yeah, right. So this is actually huge. This is how big it is. So the largest that I could find was the Saudi Americo, I think it was called. And it did an IPO back in 2019-ish. It was 25 billion.
Gee.
And it was considered Saudi Aramco. Is that one? I can't pronounce that one. 25.6 billion raised, and it was widely cited as the largest ever. Here we are, SpaceX IPO is 3 times that size. Yeah, so maybe Saylor has a point. That's a lot of hot capital moving into the new hot sectors, and pro crypto is just, it's just yesterday's news.
Yeah, not a good outlook. Is that we done? I think that's it. Thanks for listening.
See you next week.
Yeah, this is a tough one.
Wait, your shirt.
Yeah, that's up.
That is up. That's new. It's bright.
Bright yellow. Hopefully that comes off nicely over the cameras.
I like it. Oh, and the curtains. We've got new curtains this week. And Jared, you tell us that we may even have something in between the curtains.
Yeah, just another curtain.
Stay tuned for that, folks.
For that third curtain. Yeah.
It's going to be curtain central here, and we're going to pivot into just talking non-stop curtains for the next until the bear market's over.
Yeah,
which could be a while.
I mean, it's up to you, listeners. If you want this curtain chat to end, time to start buying. So market is down. As you say, everyone seems to be positioning for these new IPOs. Meta is trying to raise something like, what was it, 85 bill or something? No. Google raised 85 bill. Meta is trying to raise a huge amount of money as well for their AI plays. SpaceX is coming. They haven't, that IPO hasn't started yet, but everyone's expecting it to be massive. Apparently, one of the guys in the office today was talking about how ComSec is already putting out warnings saying, everyone who's after this SpaceX IPO, you just need to chill out. Like we're doing our best. The system's slowing down, blah, blah, blah. I know you're trying to allocate. And so, it's a big deal in the markets. Where does this leave Bitcoin? Well, it leaves Bitcoin very low. And what it kind of means for us is that we see this fresh wave of people coming in going, is this the bottom? Is the bottom in? Historically, if we look at this and that, and I've got so much fatigue on that stuff now. I've seen so many people throw up all these charts and go, if we look at what happened in the previous 3 cycles, then here's what this means for this cycle, and blah blah blah. I don't know. I'm sick of it. I want it to end. Yes, I don't know. My personal thoughts are, anything under 60K or somewhere around 60K is pretty good value. That's kind of where my thoughts end, basically. Are we at the bottom? I don't know. If we go lower, that's even more value. Cool. Do I think it's going to go up later? Yeah, I do. So, the end.
Yeah, I mean, we did cross the 200-week moving average, right?
Weighted moving average, yeah.
Do you want to maybe explain what that is to our
Yeah,
viewers?
so we have, like in technical analysis or astrology for men, you've got a lot of different indicators that you can use to try and figure out where price is going, where it's come from. A very, very strong one has been the 200-week weighted moving average, that like for the Bitcoin price. Now, this is very low at the moment. I think it's at 65,000 or something like that. It's in the mid 60s. We are under that now, and we dropped well under it sort of a day or two ago. What does this mean? It has only, I mean, the weighted average is low, and because it looks back such a long time to sort of get an average of what the price is. I did a little bit of stats numbering here. For the first 7 years of Bitcoin's life, it was under $1,000. So 7 years of this data is going to be weighing down on this weighted average. For the next sort of 3 years after that, it was under like $15,000 for most of its time. So yeah, it spent a lot of time quite low. We're now up in the 60s. We've been obviously up to 120. The weighted average is just like this way of looking at where the price moves without worrying about all the spikes and ups and downs and dumps and pumps and all that kind of stuff. People use it as a way to sort of go, okay, where is value? If it's under this number, they think, okay, it's always going to go back up above this number, because historically it is always above the number. Bitcoin has generally always doubled in price over a certain period. I'm not going to say what period because I don't know the number. But yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at. Everyone is worried about this 200 week moving average because it has been for such a long time a real sort of stable, thing you can bet your money on, and we're under.
All right. Well, Trump did come out and said, here's the quote, stocks should go up, not down. Thank you.
Yeah, I loved that. It was like a little temper tantrum, wasn't it? He's like, why are you guys doing the wrong thing? I've done all of this thing for you. I mean, if you look at the S&P, it's just been up only for so long. It's been doing amazing stuff. Even, you could look at it when the Iran war kind of started and it dipped, and then it was just up only until like a few days ago, I think. It's been performing so well. Like, I don't know why Trump's having a whinge. Like, he's got a lot of value out of this. If he's, basing his presidency and its success on the value of the S&P, he's been doing pretty well. And I think surprising a lot of people in that aspect. A lot of people were expecting that a war would do bad things for this, and it hasn't. It's done some amazing things. However, hey Jared, are you able to pop up the chart I had where it's those two diverging lines? Not that one, the other one. We should have put that one up though. That would have been very good for the WMA. Yeah, this guy here. So this one I thought was kind of interesting. So this is the SP 500 essentially, and then where the two lines diverge there in sort of late March. That is kind of where AI took over. So the black line going up is the AI stocks, and the duller grey line is sort of everything else in the S&P 500. And you can see everything was kind of tracking fairly cleanly until about April, and then AI just gets, I'm going to say, overvalued, or at least extremely highly valued, whereas the rest of the companies in the S&P 500 basically stay the same. Like, you don't really see much movement there. If you look where it started and where it ends, it's basically the same. But AI has gone crazy. And then, this dump that Trump's whinging about is, you can see right at the end of the AI line, the black line at the top is kind of comes off a bit. It's all AI. If you look at the non-AI companies down the bottom, that actually went up a little bit. Really, it's sort of, it didn't really go up much, but it's definitely not going down. So this dump is pure AI. It's not really indicative of the market as a whole, I would say.
That's interesting.
And maybe we're coming to like a reversion to the mean here. I don't know, but it's definitely AI is doing all the heavy lifting in this S&P pump, and now we're sort of coming off. So, yeah.
Well, a little bit of perspective. In terms of, I guess, this week's crash, it has been reportedly, I guess, the most severe since the unwinding of the yen carry trade back in 2024. So, worst in a couple of years. But guess where it ranks overall? What do you in all of Bitcoin's history of dumps? How do you think it rates?
12th,
Close, 13th.
13th.
So not even really a top 10 dump. So if you're a veteran hodler,
Yeah, so I looked at this as well. Like the top ones are sort of COVID. COVID was the biggest one.
Oh, yeah.
We saw a massive crash from like $8,500 Bitcoin to down to 3,500, I think it was. Huge crash. And then you got the Celsius 3 Hours Capital stuff and even FTX. But a lot of these ones, what I thought was interesting, a large proportion of those crashes in the top 13 were in 2022. They were all this like cascading over a period of about 6 months.
Yeah.
They all it was just one after the other. And because that ranking that we're talking about there is kind of, I think it's a weekly ranking. So it's like, what was the worst week? They all happened in different weeks, so they don't coincide, but it was all part of the same year and it was all just contagion from one to the next. And as we like uncovered, oh crap, these people are insolvent. Oh no, this one's insolvent as well. Like, this thing doesn't work. So
2022 was particularly bad. I remember that.
Yes.
Anyone who was on the ground just in crypto at that point, like if you survive that point, I know it's a few years back now, 4 years ago. Man, it was May from 2022. It's when Terra Luna blew up.
Yep.
FTX went down in October. So it was just, back then, it dumped well past the 200 moving, 200 week moving average. But it signaled way more pain. So if history's repeat itself, the crossing of the 200 week moving average means that we kind of have some pain ahead.
Yeah, it's funny with those cascading dumps, it was sort of individual, I say bad actors, like individual sort of aspects, individual things that happened specifically that caused these dumps one after the other. With what we're seeing now, it's like a combination of things. So I feel like, I don't know, if people, I wouldn't be too worried about this dump at the moment. It's not, doesn't have the same kind of teeth that that 2022 cascade.
Because we had after Terra Luna went down, we had a bunch of, what else do we have? We had Three Arrows, you had Celsius, all the Silvergate, Signature, the Silicon Valley banks all went down. It was,
it was
then of course
level.
FTX went down.
Yeah.
I mean, that was really bad.
Yeah.
That was almost the point. It was
yeah.
like, this is it? Are we done?
Yeah. And here we've got a few different things lining up, causing this, what is really like a drop from, what was it, like 70 to 60. It's not that crazy. Like if we were in the 40, I see people calling, and again, I told you I got fatigue of people, is this the bottom? And people running up charts and saying, no, this is not the bottom, here's the bottom. I see people calling for like low 40s, high 30s, like 37,000 to 42,000 or something like that per Bitcoin. And that's going to be the bottom, they claim, in a couple of months coming. Like, I mean, I don't think we're going to get there. Like, if we get to the 50s again, even like sort of mid 50s, I'm like, okay, I think we're done. But anyway, we'll have to wait and see. If we get, every cycle you get these people making these calls about, like last cycle it was, we're going to see 10K again. And everyone's like, what are you talking about? And, there's all these bottom callers who just want to call these super low things. I think we're starting to see those really come into play now as everyone's getting worried again and the bearish sentiment comes. Fear and greed's at 10. I know that's, Greek to you, but it's bad, trust me. What do we got here? Comments. Perspective. My portfolio is down 80%, but hey, at least it's not 81%. Yeah, that's true. No, this is where that the meme I had last week, which we never end up showing, the Simpsons one, where it's like Homer's pointing at Bart, and Bart's like, man, it's so bad. Like, we've gone down so far. I'm down at 20%. He's like, you're at 20% so far. Yeah, 81% is just around the corner, my friend. I'm afraid.
Yeah. Anyway, it's here's a thing I'd learnt. Someone claimed as one of those quant traders, I can't remember his name, quoted, never, so Bitcoin, have we hit the bottom? This is one more little thing to add into your fatigued bottom calling stage. Never bottomed without falling below realized price. You know what that realized historically? So realized price, so you know what that is currently?
What?
53, that would be 53,000 US, which would signal more pain ahead.
Yep. Yeah, and I think that's not unreasonable. To get into the 50s, maybe we dip briefly down under 53 or something. See it happening, I guess.
Anyway, on a brighter note, Nick, I believe you have prepared for us a little story, a little bedtime story. You can tuck me in now and you can...
Yeah, that's right.
Let me fall asleep to it.
You can go to sleep for the next 5 minutes. No, I wanted to talk about something that actually isn't in the market update this week, but about Zcash. So for those of you who remember a week or two ago, I've been speaking about Zcash a little bit. It's been one of sort of the darlings of this bear market, I suppose. We've had Hype, Zcash, and I mentioned some other one, Cards, I think. Anyway, Zcash has, not been doing very well recently. There was basically they got a consultant in and said, hey, we want you to have a look at the code and, do your best, find some bugs and whatever. And they found this serious bug, which allows you to mint shielded Zcash. What that means is you can mint stuff that you can mint ZEC tokens in the shielded part of the pool where no one can see what's happening. So we have no idea if anyone actually exploited this or not. So we don't know what the supply is. It was a real bummer. So Zcash, I think, was at $600 a coin or something like that, and it dumped down to 400 and something. It was a big deal. What does this mean? Well, it's a problem. Like, it's a real trust issue. So Zcash was, it was kind of like becoming the privacy coin of choice. And people don't like it when they can't count their coins. Now the problem here is that they've got multiple pools. One of them is a transparent pool, which is kind of like Bitcoin. You can see everything that's going on. And then there's a couple of other pools that are not transparent. The one that was affected was a pool called Orchid Pool. So we can see how much Zcash has gone into Orchid Pool, but we don't know how much is sloshing around in there. So they might have created a bunch of fake Zcash. All we can do is count what comes out of this Orchid Pool to see how it goes, to see if too much comes out. There's a plan called Ironwood or something like that. Ironwood where they want to basically gate it. So if too much comes out, they stop the withdrawals and they stop any deposits going in to try and help this thing get sorted. But the fact is, if I was a bad actor and I'd minted 1 million Zcash in this pool, I'm going to be the first one to withdraw. And then the people who are going to get stuck are the people who didn't withdraw, who weren't watching the news or whatever. So this solution definitely doesn't solve the problem. All it does is stop Zcash from getting an overinflated supply. So that's kind of the main issue that people are worried about at the moment. But it's bad news all around because you can't fix a problem because of, by design, this thing is secret, right? And they've created this coin that's so secret they don't know if they've been hacked or not.
Oh, great.
So it's a bit of a bummer. Anyway, we'll find out what happens next. I think the idea that they're going to stop, it's kind of like saying Bitcoin's got an issue and now we've got 23 million Bitcoin instead of 21. They've kind of put a cap on that. And they said, no, we're not going to have an overinflated supply if this Ironwood thing goes ahead. We're going to stop any more money coming out of this Orchid Pool and just start a new shielded pool, and we'll move to that one. And some people will probably get wrecked if there was any minting. As far as they're aware, no actual minting happened, so it was never exploited. But they're putting a cap on supply, so the price is now sort of bounced up to 480 or something like that. It's come back, but it was a big deal, and a real sort of blow to those privacy coin people who are into that scene. Anyway, I thought that was something interesting.
That is interesting.
Skynet's back. Hey, Skynet. The person who found the issue is now working on Monero code audit. Oh, there we go. That doesn't surprise me. And to be honest, the fact that Zcash went and did this, and they kind of, it was all very public, and they didn't try and hide anything, and they were proactive about getting these audits done. I like that. I think there's not much else they could have done. They did the best they could. It was a very complex issue that the AI's kind of surfaced. So the best hope here is that no one actually exploited it, and we just move on. But it is kind of interesting, and maybe one of those things that people have just been happy to ignore for the moment, because it exists in all privacy coins, where if you have a bug in the secret part of the pool, you just don't know what your supply is.
Interesting.
You have to kind of trust it, and everyone's just been happy to do that until it actually got, until the risk became real. Finn.
All right. Well, this week we have to touch off who, this. if you're feeling bad about being down, if Jared's feeling bad about being down, let's spare a thought for our good mates who we talk about every week, Michael Saylor and Tom Lee. Let's compare the pair, shall we? I have been doing the charts this week. Think you're down bad. Have a go at these boys. They've gone hard. You know what? And I respect it.
Why does Tom Lee never look at the camera? I always seem staring off into the middle distance.
I 1,000-yard stare, man. He has been. He has
He's
spent
seen
the
some
last.
things.
He's seen some things. The guy's down 10 billion, but he ain't stopping. It's kind of conviction only a guy with 1,000-yard stare can deliver. See, Michael Saylor's a bit different. He'll always stare straight into your soul, and he'll tell you.
Yeah, because you haven't bought enough.
He has not bought enough,
Like-
and he'll tell you haven't bought enough.
Yeah.
So you can see there. You can see the charts there for yourself. The boys are down bad, but here's the thing: they're not stopping. Tom Lee, what did he do this week? He doubled down. Man, he didn't stop at all. But we've got to talk about Ethereum. Actually, let me run through the numbers here. So Tom Lee's Bitcoin, he's 10 down 10 bill, right?
Unrealized.
But yet he went and bought another
looking good.
126,000 ETH this week alone. He will
This
not
is
stop.
Tom Lee checking his savings account.
Oh my God.
He's in shambles.
So he's not stopping. And Saylor, even though he sold 32 or whatever to run his dividends, he still went out and bought another 1,500.
Yeah. So this 32 is so obviously like a token kind of.
Oh, have we frozen?
The 32 Bitcoin was like clearly a kind of token sale. He was just proving to the market he could do it. I saw a theory running around saying that what he's going to do now is just every sort of couple of months he's going to just sell another 32, maybe another 60, another 100 here, maybe 1,000 there, like 40 here, and eventually everyone's just going to be like, oh, all right, he's selling these little bits, but he's buying more. Let's not worry about it anymore, and kind of lull everyone into I don't know if it's a false sense of security, but just like if he does it enough, it's going to stop these. A lot of, as you said before, a lot of people are blaming Saylor for this recent dump.
Yeah, I don't think he can. I mean, that's so much liquidity has been sucked out.
Yeah, I think obviously sentiment sucks when your hero Saylor, who says he's never going to sell and you should sell your kidney before selling any Bitcoin, then sells 32 Bitcoin. But I think like a lot of people are sort of hoping that he's just going to. It's the shot we needed to have, and that means it's going to take the sting off things later. Oh, can I go into a little segue on Saylor, by the way?
Oh, sure. I believe we're already there.
Yeah, nice. So did you know that in the year 2000 dot-com bubble, Saylor's company MicroStrategy back then was essentially been attributed to causing the dot-com bubble to burst?
I read something about this, but I would love to hear your take on this.
So it is interesting, and I don't know if there's much truth in it, and I think there is, but I haven't delved into the numbers and looked at the timings and all that kind of stuff. But the claim is that so back in the year 2000, he announced to the market, and it's a public company, so they have to like announce everything, and they're constantly making, telescoping stuff to the market. He announced that he, for the previous 2 years, had been overstating his revenue. And so, but just because of like they'd added the numbers up wrong or something like that. And so their share at this point had been pumping because it was, dot-com was going crazy. His company at that point had obviously nothing to do with Bitcoin. It was just, they were running like a bunch of analytics software to make your sales, like Salesforce, I guess, to like figure out your sales numbers and stuff like that. The share price was up at 333 and it dumped to $190 from 333 in 1 day. It was a huge dump because they basically came out and said, hey, by the way, all of these crazy revenue numbers we've been showing aren't actually right. We've been, the revenue numbers are much lower than this. And so, the share price absolutely dumped, and they attribute that, and it was sometime in like early to mid 2000 with the start of the bubble crash. Like the bubble was burst at that point, where everyone was like, "Holy crap!" This darling of the internet age has actually been lying to us the whole time. I had a further look into this, and it's kind of interesting because so at that point, the SEC sued them. And there was also a class action that was brought out against MicroStrategy. The SEC ended up getting something like $350,000 from 3 of the execs, including Saylor. And then they had to pay like disgorgement fines as well, which is sort of like, any profits you made from the bad stuff that you did, you have to give up.
Oh, right.
And Saylor had to pay about maybe 9 mil all up, and he was the biggest one. The other guys had to pay sort of, well, maybe one guy paid a couple mil and the other guy paid like $500,000 or something like that. So that was kind of the fees they paid to the SEC. They had a class action lawsuit as well, where by their investors saying, hey, we've been investing based on your numbers. It's not fair. They had to pay them something like over 100 mil, I think it was. It was quite a lot of money. And then the investors also sued PwC, who were the auditor of MicroStrategy
Go on.
and said, "You guys, well, what's the deal here? Like, you just signing
One
off on
job,
any old numbers."
PwC,
Yeah,
one
literally.
job.
What else are they there for? And so I think PwC had to pay like 50 mil or something, 55 mil maybe to the investors to say, we're very sorry. But the Saylor and the execs, with their settlement with the SEC, they didn't have to admit any wrongdoing.
Okay.
So they got a new chairman of the board or something at that point, and then it's continued on.
They just bit whoopsie.
Yeah, just did a little whoopsie and moved on. But yeah, I thought that was interesting. Like, Saylor's been at it for a long time. Like, this guy's seen a lot of markets, and now he's flipped into this giant Bitcoin buying, flywheel machine. Can he keep it up? We spoke last week about the three-body problem that I kind of described on about how Saylor, like, strategy works with their shares, the Bitcoin they want to buy, and the preferred debt that they're issuing. With the price going down another 10K since last week, like, it's getting pretty tight for these guys. I'm not saying that they're going to get liquidated or anything. The whole liquidation thing with Saylor is a bit silly, but like, there's got to be a bunch of pressure on these guys to figure out what they want to do, and does this strategy keep working? They've already sold some Bitcoin. Are they now going to sell more to get themselves out of a hole? A lot of people claiming that all of the preferred debt that they bought back at a discount, they spent a bunch of their like liquid cash to do that, and now they don't really have so much anymore. But they've still got to be paying these dividends. How do they do that? Do they have to keep selling Bitcoin? How long can they survive where the price is super low? They don't have as much ability to raise cash like they previously did. Anyway, time will tell. We'll see how it plays out. But they still do have some cash. I think they'll be okay.
All right, we'll take some questions then from the viewers. Nick, maybe you have a view on this. Thank you for the comment there from TikTok, from Underwater iPhone. Any thoughts on the Japanese reverse carry trade?
Reverse carry trade? No, I have no thoughts on that. Sorry.
Neither do I. Moving on.
I mean, so the carry trade, the unwinding of the carry trade, the classic carry trade, was one of the top 13 biggest dips, weekly dips that we saw over the last, or forever in Bitcoin. Everyone is suddenly afraid that, all of this not free cash, but like people were using the Japanese market to basically, borrow against and have really cheap credit, basically. That people were really afraid that the loss of that opportunity was going to make there be a bunch of money exiting the system. But I don't know about the reverse carry trade. I'd love to know how that works.
Everything you said, just say it backwards.
Yeah, okay, so they're getting expensive credit for... No, that doesn't work.
I saw a thing today, and I don't know if I've imagined it, I've read it, but someone was pointing the finger at Michael Saylor, saying he was involved and around and a heavy player during the dot-com crash. Is he also going to be the flywheel that causes the next one?
Maybe. Time will tell.
That was a question.
Oh, well, I mean, yeah, I just spoke at length about how he was part of the dot-com crash. So, yeah, does that mean he's going to be part of the next one? I mean, honestly, he's gearing up to do it. Like, if he is one of my top 3 probably kind of people who are going to cause some existential crash to Bitcoin. Like, I've spoken many times on this show about how I don't like how much Bitcoin he has. He's got too much. I read a thing saying recently he's got something like 4% of the supply. 4%, that's too much. That's too much. Stop it. Stop buying it. I don't want him to sell, but I think he just needs to stop. And he can't stop that. It's like Tom Lee. He can't stop. We all laugh at Tom Lee. Oh, he's doubling down again. But what are his options? He can't just back off and go, guess I'm just going to sit on my thumb for a little bit and see what happens. No, he has to be all in or all out. There's no middle ground with these kind of guys. Same thing for strategy. He's done this 32 Bitcoin sell, but then immediately he's bought 1,500 Bitcoin again for a better price, might I add. Like, he sold it in the 70s and bought in the 60s. And a lot of people are, talking about market manipulation there as well, right?
Right.
Like having a go at him, saying, you're moving the markets and doing this for your own benefit. To be fair, Saylor has never timed any kind of...
Yeah, I find that argument, it's thin, given that he just buys whenever.
It's thin except for this point, right? Like, and it doesn't mean like every other time you were a good guy, so this time when you're a bad guy, it's okay, we'll assume you're a good guy. I don't think it quite works like that, but he can't not keep buying.
Hang on. Now, I saw an interesting stat, switching gears slightly back to Tom Lee, who is our other permable on this one. Now, Ethereum is such a mind-boggler. I know somehow it always goes down, but it's getting better at the same time. I don't know.
Mm.
I had a look at the queue for staking. So despite the horrible price action, we've still got a massive queue in line to get involved in staking. People
Way
aren't
more queuing in to get them out.
hardly anyone. There's only 5,000 ETH looking to leave and 3 million looking to get in.
Yeah, it's nuts. I mean,
Like, I love a good ratio. I can't even work out what that is. Like, that's a big ratio of people getting in there.
yeah, if we worked out, like, if this was happening closer to when, you know, the whole proof of stake thing came about, it would make more sense to me because, you know, people want to get in. There's no point in having lazy ETH. You want to stake it if you're going to hold it. But that was so long ago. I don't know. I don't think we can blame that anymore. People sitting, you know, realizing, oh, I should really be staking my ETH. Like, I shouldn't have this lazy capital just doing nothing. I should earn some yield on it. Yeah, I can't explain that. So many people are trying to get in. Maybe this is the whole, like, is the market wrong or are people wrong? The market's got to be wrong. Like,
Something's
there's so much
off.
going for ETH. There's,
Yeah,
that's right. Yeah,
it's odd, right? It's odd. I don't understand how. I mean, I get the transaction volumes and stuff like that are down, but there's with Ethereum
but they're
kicking.
not right. Aren't the transaction volumes like?
Sorry, I think I misspoke. The transaction volume's going up, but
Yeah.
I guess they're so cheap now to do it. The revenue from it is not
Yes.
what it was previous to the recent upgrades. It just seems to be kicking so many goals. Everyone's like, you know what? Nah,
I'm selling.
I'm selling it.
Yeah.
Why?
It's crazy. I mean, I'm not really an ETH bull per se, but I think I don't understand why it's
Is that
not
why
going
we call?
crazy.
Well, why would we call you the ETH Whisperer, which we did for so many episodes?
Was I? Yeah. I don't know. Can we just say that
You
I
make
like,
about as much sense as the price action right now, Nick.
Yeah. No, I mean, I like to talk about ETH. I just don't. It just seems like. It seems like you would be crazy to sort of go all in on ETH. Like, and as I said, like with, you know, Tom Lee, he has to do it. He's built this personality around it and built an entire company essentially around doing this thing. So he has no choice. But for anyone else, like, why wouldn't you wait for confirmation? You know, the classic, you know, technical analysis trading style. You don't try and catch the falling knife, right?
Yeah.
You wait for confirmation. You say, okay, we've formed a bottom here. Now I can, you know, you don't get the perfect entry, but you can get a much more confident entry. And that seems like the smart thing to do if you're wanting to buy Ethereum. I wouldn't be trying to catch the knife because Ethereum keeps proving over and over again it can go lower. By the way, before we move away from the treasury company stuff, in my sort of research for doing the Saylor stuff, did you know Michael Saylor's name is Michael Jerry Saylor? He's Saylor Jerry. That guy, we should get him on board. He'll have a run with us for sure. Anyway.
I didn't know that.
Yeah, neither did I. I was
Just
like,
Google what is Michael's middle name.
Or it was just like, you know, in the court document, it was like Michael Jerry Saylor, plaintiff or, you know, defendant against. Care to comment? Okay, so what have we got here? A comment from the comments. Care to comment on the core versus not saga? I didn't know that was still a saga, to be honest. So for those of you listening, Core is Bitcoin Core. They're the group that builds the most popular Bitcoin client. Knots is an alternative Bitcoin client that a guy called Luke Dash Jr. sort of champions, I believe, who is a Bitcoin Core developer, but he's a bit of a crazy dude. There's a lot of weird stuff about him that I'm not. Anyway, you can look that up yourself. Is there a new saga that you can tell us about that's happening? So previously, I know Knots. There was some op return thing that came into the Bitcoin Core thing, and I think Knots said no, we're not going to open up op return and they put a cap on it of a certain amount of bytes. I'm talking really old school here. I can't remember the exact details, and if there's a new saga, I'd be vaguely interested to know. But the Knots guys, I don't know. I feel like they get there's a lot of vitriol I see coming out of the Knots team, and I understand what they're trying to do. Like, and I think it's definitely a good idea to have an alternate Bitcoin client. It seems weird to me that there's really only one. But anyway, Knots is sort of a different version. They're also trying to do Knots was also trying to do censorship, I think, because they hated all the ordinals stuff that was happening and all the spam that was on the Bitcoin blockchain. So they're trying to get rid of that in some fashion, I think. Anyway, I'm not entirely sure. Filtering, that was what they called it. They were filtering out the spam in a way that didn't cause a soft fork, I believe. Like there was no forking of the blockchain. Anyway, if there's more if there's newer Not Saga happening, please let me know. The debate over BIP 110, it's about how much op return data can be added. Yeah, so that's all it's added. I didn't know that was still a thing. I thought that people kind of forgot about that and moved on. Because so one of the, let me just rewind a bit here. The Bitcoin Core guys opened up this op return code inside of like Bitcoin transactions, and you can kind of put a whole bunch of data in there now that you used to not be able to. And so a lot of people were like, oh, they're killing Bitcoin. They're going to open it up to spam, and everyone's going to be putting way too much stuff in there, and we're going to bloat the blockchain and all that kind of stuff. And then fast forward to today, and this happened many, many months ago, last year sometime, I think. As far as I know, nothing's happened. Like all of those fears, no one did anything. Not to say it couldn't happen, I guess. And one of the issues that I've talked about a few times now is how like nothing is happening at all on the Bitcoin blockchain. Except the other day, we had a bit of a spike that I thought I got. I had to like muck around with the Bitcoin fees that we pay on the exchange. I haven't done that in such a long time. It's kind of a rush, but anyway.
Do you guys, or do you particular, Nick, do you follow any of the meme coins on Bitcoin? So like Dog, for example?
Dog, no. I do remember there's the BRC-20 token standard that existed a year or two ago. Is it still BRC-20? Is that the?
I think so, yeah.
Yeah, okay. No, I don't follow the actual tokens. The tech is kind of interesting, but it seemed like a really clunky way to build tokens on Bitcoin. And why wouldn't you just use Ethereum? Like they need some soft forks. Like they need OpCat to come in or whatever. There's a bunch of different sort of proposals around how we can do things. Like old mate Paul Stortz we spoke about last week. His drive chains kind of allows this stuff to happen as well. I've never really followed the stuff that's actually on the Bitcoin, like using the what are they called? I call them the inscriptions on Bitcoin. I don't know. Is there a bull market happening there or something? Or no? Yeah. Okay. No idea. Sorry. Well, I did muck around with those BRC-20 tokens like a year or two ago, and it's just it's not easy. There's not a great experience. I know the Taproot wizard guys, Eric Wall, my hero, and Udi released a Taproot wizard store or something recently, but it looks like you can buy their Taproot wizard Bitcoiny things with USDC on Solana and with you can kind of do other stuff. I'm like, okay, fair enough.
Did the guys from Taproot Wizards ever get back to you? Did you ever reach out to them and be like, hey guys, we went to your party, we got dressed up as wizards, we lived the dream that you wanted us,
Well, I did send a message to Eric when we were there. And I'm like, hey, where are you? Little crying tear emoji. And he's like, yeah, literally. I'm not. He's just replied, I'm not even in Singapore. I'm like, Anyway, and no, I'm not on messaging terms with Udi, so I didn't message him. Anyway, that's a chapter of my life which I'll never forget. It's the biggest disappointment.
Well, at least you still have a wizard outfit.
That's true.
All right. Well, we do have to cover some news.
Yeah, sorry, I've been babbling.
I'm sure the technical people loved all that stuff. I didn't understand a word you said. No, I'm joking. That was good. JP Morgan and Citi this week have tokenized a tokenized deposit network. Now, a quick introduction. Basically, they've, I guess, in response to, some pressure going, hang on, if we don't tokenize a few things, we could potentially see a lot of our business flow elsewhere by not allowing, space for this to develop inside our bank. Now, what I'm really interested in here is this is like an incumbent response to disruption, right? And it's exactly what we saw when taxi companies try to launch their own sort of apps to sort of compete with Uber and all this type of stuff. And the question that I think is always there for incumbents is, will they be able to move fast enough? And whether the regulatory moat will protect them for long enough before something new comes in over the top and people just go, you know what, we see what you're trying to do, good for you trying to build it, but this whole new decentralized financial marketplace that's being built on Ethereum, whatever, is now just so much better. Yeah. You know what I'm trying to get to?
I do, and I wonder if, so when I was reading about this thing, I was like, what is the point of this announcement? Like, if you boil it down, and maybe I'm reading this wrong, but if you boil it down, it seems to me that it's just them going, hey, we're going to build some stuff to make things a little bit quicker. And I'm like, why are you announcing it? It doesn't actually affect anyone on the outside. Yes, they're building this tokenized deposit network, but the fact is you deposit using the banking system. Somewhere in the back end, they tokenize it, whatever that means. I guess, send it to another bank or something and then untokenize it, and then it becomes money on the other side. And you know, like, sure, it's probably, hopefully, like, what's the point if it's not a bit quicker than the current system? But why do we need to care about this? Like, whereas your example, and I think you're right, like with the example with, you know, the taxi companies, the taxi company technically could make a kick-ass app, and they could have beaten Uber with their Uber's own idea kind of thing. But this isn't really even competing with stable coins. This is kind of just, they've, you know, they maybe they could have said a thing saying, oh, we've upgraded our database to be 3 times quicker, and it'd have the same output. Like, we're tokenizing stuff using blockchains. Like, yeah, but no one can see it, no one can interact with it. It's fully opaque. We don't actually get to play with this new tech that you're talking about. Who gives a shit? I always, like, to me, it harkens back to when I used to play online multiplayer games. And I remember so I used to play this game called Star Wars Galaxies, and it was a great game. I loved it. All of the icons, like all of your moves at the bottom of the screen, were all in black and white, but that was just how it was. You didn't sort of sit there and go, why are they in black and white? It just was. And you'd run around. You couldn't, like, it was a very defined area you could go in. Even though it was a massive open multiplayer world, you could only go in sort of certain areas and walk around certain paths if you're in a city or whatever. Then a game called World of Warcraft came out, and they had color icons at the bottom, and you could jump in World of Warcraft. So, like, if there was a little step, you could literally jump up and walk up a hill, whereas in Star Wars Galaxies, yeah, you couldn't do that kind of thing. If there was a tiny little step there, you would just bump into it and have to walk around. And Star Wars Galaxies were like, holy crap, we're losing market share to this new World of Warcraft game. We've got to do something fast. So they made some of the icons color in the bottom. I don't think all of them were. And they allowed you to jump, but the jump was only cosmetic. So your character could jump now by pressing a key on the keyboard, but you would still get stuck against that tiny little wall. You couldn't actually jump over it. You just jumped against it. Even though on the screen you were jumping higher than the wall, it didn't do anything. I was like, man, this is just such a last-ditch effort from a dying company who's realized they're going down. Like, they can't compete. And to be fair, like, there's no way they could have rewritten the entire game to allow jumping everywhere, because there's so many areas that just couldn't be accessed. And suddenly now you can jump and get them, and you probably crash the game or whatever because you're going to places you're not supposed to. But yeah, I feel like this is, you know, the banks are going, oh crap, there's like this blockchain thing happening. Here's what we'll do. We'll talk about blockchain internally. And it's like, but it doesn't matter. It doesn't change anything for the people on the outside. We still have to send you money using the fiat system. Yeah. And then maybe you can send it a little bit quicker to the end location. But yeah, doesn't, like, just make a faster database so we don't have to sit there and talk about blockchain. Anyway, that's my rant.
No, that's good. That's the exact type of rant that I was hoping to elicit, because this is exactly the point I wanted to raise, and this is the quadrillion-dollar question. It's like, you know, the Ethereum, for example. We all know that Ethereum's price action is way down, but like, on at least from the tech level, from the optics and all the stuff that's happening on it, it is just winning and winning. It is generally what Trump would have liked the world to. It's the winning that Trump promised us.
Yeah, that's right.
Right, but it's getting absolutely no attention, and it is just getting spanked. So as far as an outsider would be concerned, people who aren't like you or, you know, interested in what's happening from the tech point of view, they'd be like, price is down, it must suck. And then they're just like looking at some AI, you know. IPO and, you know, at some eye-watering valuation and aping into that. They're not paying attention to what's actually going on. So this is the kind of thing, right? And when, I guess I'm sort of curious as to think, well, like, when does the winning actually materialize into, like, do you know what I mean? The equivalent of...
That is the question.
You know, when's the equivalent of, like, the banks going, oh man, I built Jump, but it's not going over anything. We're cooked here.
If you have the answer, Tom Lee wants a phone call with you ASAP. He really needs to get on the call.
This reminds me of that Congress hearing with Pam Bondi, and she was being asked about the Epstein files. It's like, why are you asking about this when the S&P is over 6,000?
Look at the birdie.
Like, someone comes out with a retail user interface where everyone's like, now we can just use regulated stable coins like USDC or whatever, and it's just quick, it's efficient, it's accepted everywhere. Like, you know, the you know, my little USDC app, and I can buy all my stocks on there. I can buy my SpaceX IPO.
You can watch it on chain. You can see that people aren't overinflating it. You can, you know. Yeah, there's so many, like, they've kind of built this thing just for speed, it seems, but all of the actual reasons why people came to crypto, like, you know, the bearer asset, the no central authority, like all that kind of stuff, they've been like, no, we're not going to do anything with that. we're only doing this little bit here, where it's a bit faster. And people are like, that's not why we're here.
Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway.
And so now you've got, and so all the financial products that you ever wanted or ever would need, you've got your access to your leverage trading, you've got access to your stocks, you've got access to your dividends being distributed all on these decentralized networks. It's 24/7. It's like far less friction that you're used to with dealing with the bank and calling them up and being like, why is my account being blocked for whatever trivial thing? Oh, because it's, it's a Friday and Betty from accounts called in sick. Therefore you have to wait 3 days for your money kind of thing. Right. Do you know what I mean? Like when is winning one? What do we have to see for that case to be there? I mean, because it feels like it could happen. It's almost the tipping point where, do you know what I mean?
This is going to be one of those things.
Someone comes out with the app and everyone just goes, oh, this is exactly the same as using my... It looks and feels and is just as much as my banking app. Right?
And again, so Ethereum like the Ethereum, the dev roadmap, they're preparing literally for things like this. With account abstraction, they're trying to make things as easy as possible and as user-friendly and trying to remove all of the, you didn't use the right nonce on this wallet transfer.
Yep.
Better retry with 17% more gas. Like, people are like,
what the hell?
No, we need to abstract that stuff away, and they've done that. They've done so much work to get that kind of stuff done. Yep. When is the tipping point? This is gonna be one of those things where we look back and go, oh yeah, that makes sense now, like that. But when you're in it at the time, you just don't know because you've been down only for so long. You got so much PTSD about the price of Ethereum of the ETH token. It's you can't expect anyone to sit there and try and pick it. But we've got to have someone. The other thing I'm thinking of is like, okay, so who is this mysterious thing that, the mysterious hand that moves this market, right? Who's where's this buy pressure going to come from? Tom Lee, it can't be Tom Lee. This guy's doing as much as he possibly can. This guy, what more can this guy do? He's providing this ridiculous buy wall that people just keep breaking through, and he's like, all right, I'll set my buy wall a bit lower now and keep buying. Imagine if he wasn't buying. What would the price of Ethereum be right now?
Oh, I'd hate to think.
You can't. I don't even want to think about it.
So Bitmine maybe just needs to change itself to random AI company, and people just buy it because it has AI in the title.
Right, which allows them to buy more ETH.
Which
I don't know, but then you're starting to get we need more. I don't know. There needs to be some kind of mindset change because you don't want these treasury companies to be having so much supply. I think that is existential in itself. I'm worried about MicroStrategy and it's 4%, and Bitmine's got 5 or 6% or something of the supply.
Well, they've come out and said we're not going to stop until we get 6%.
Is it? Yeah. Okay. So they're probably not there yet then, but they've just got so much of the supply. It's too much. It's too existential. I don't like it. Anyway, we need someone else to come in, and not someone. We need a whole bunch of people come in. What is going to change people's minds and make them decide to catch the falling knife? Don't know. Going to need some funds and countries and whatever to get involved.
Yeah, we'll see. We'll see.
It'll happen. There's got to be some kind of point where the price gets too good
Who
to
was
be
the
true.
guy we talked about? Yes, Geoff. Wasn't Geoff from Citibank? Wasn't he the one who's
Yeah,
saying that
he
we're going to
was.
see 40K ETH price by 2030?
Was it? Yeah. Okay.
That is a bull-tard prediction if ever I heard one. But just imagine. Okay.
Just imagine.
Big
if true.
All right. What else Jared? This was slow news week this week. Not gonna lie.
What happens when fear and greed is at 8?
10.
Oh, now you're an expert, are you?
10, Jared. Please. People are nervous out there. Not me and Nick. Oh, actually, you know what we could do? The best thing about this show that I've liked so far has been the AI music at the front. If it gets really bad, we can just play that.
Just sit there and vibe to AI music for fun.
And you can, and we'll just talk about curtains the whole time.
I have to let everyone know. You wouldn't know because you were sitting there talking, but YouTube had a major malfunction at the start, and so it played the intro and then it played the hi everyone and then it froze for everyone, and so YouTube had to be discontinued and restarted. So actually on the watch back they won't hear the music. I think I will upload.
That is worse.
But you can always go to Twitter or TikTok or Instagram or or watch last week's.
Also, before I forget, next week we're away. Next week, not because markets are absolutely cactus. That'll resolve itself. But one thing I can guarantee you is that we are doing a 3-day live stream from the DECA conference next week. So you heard it here first. 3-day live stream. When we did the live stream from the Australian CryptoCon, we had the empty chairs, and the empty chairs performed better than Nick and I. We've decided not to do one, not two, 3 straight days of empty chairs. Occasionally, Jared will take up a bit of bandwidth from the empty chairs and talk to our guests.
Testing, see what's more popular.
But we will. We're going to do 3 days of live streaming from the DECA conference, and we're going to be pulling random people. Jared will be pulling random people from the audience and interviewing them. So, come for the chairs, stay for the conversations with Jared. That's my tip. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, 15th to the 17th of June. Now, we have a discounted, so if you are thinking of going and you have not yet booked tickets, you can use our discount code. Check on our LinkedIn for details, but it's a tasty 25% off the ticket price.
Not
How's
bad.
that? Chairs, discounted tickets, what more could you want?
Are they the same chairs, Jared?
To be confirmed.
Oh man, imagine they're different. I'll be so pissed. Like, I turned up for the original chairs and I got this.
The chairs. Hey, look, I know it's a bear market, but I suggested we get some lazy boys. I want some comfort. But, if we retire these bad boys, they're more popular
Even
than us.
they need an update though. Like we're going with new curtains. Let's get some bright orange lazy boys. I reckon.
Now we're talking.
Something comfortable. This is so uncomfortable.
They look comfy, but you can't tell that right in the back there's a bar.
Yeah.
That's why I'm constantly like, I'm really enjoying this bar in the back. Can we get like an image, although? Can we get like an image of the chairs, and we can like maybe the chairs can be the focus,
Yes.
and we can have the lazy boys say comfort, but the chairs won't be forgotten.
We'll put up a picture of the chairs on the wall.
Yeah.
There we go.
We can
Now we're talking.
We'll get a framed photo of the first episode and just put it behind us.
Yes, very good. Hey, we've come a long way since our very first episode. We talked about that. Well, I believe we had this wall, but we had nothing on it. Whereas now we have the lights on the wall.
I think we're actually in the other smaller room with terrible lighting.
We have better lighting now. That's all Jared, I must admit. If it wasn't for Jared, we'd still be in that same room.
Yeah.
So, all right, last story before we digress into something more interesting than bad news, I guess. Hong Kong has tokenized Bond Group. I'm laughing because it's like, this is what it's come to, folks. This is what it's come to. You know what? I'm not even going to talk about it.
Such a bear market. Your AI's run out of tokens and can't form proper sentences.
Oh, dear.
Hong Kong has tokenized Bond Group.
You know what?
Yeah, I will also admit I didn't do any research on this one.
I don't want to talk about that one.
It's so boring. They didn't even talk about clarity.
Yeah, God.
Is Clarity going to get through? I haven't bothered checking up on it.
Doesn't look good, to be honest. I saw something about it a few days ago, and the numbers were going lower and lower, basically. Yeah.
Great. Are you tired of winning yet,
Do
people?
we have anything happy to talk about?
I mean, the bottom might be in, according to a whole bunch of random charts and people like looking at historic values and going, because of this, then this. Yeah. Skynet's brought up quantum. Shall we talk about quantum again, guys?
Hey, we can also go back talking about the Schiller PE ratio. And Jared, you never made a short clip, so we never got to see if the people wanted more of the Schiller PE ratio.
Yeah, you're trying to outbore me? Not on my watch. No, but there actually was new news about quantum. So apparently Microsoft brought out some new algorithm or chip or something that's like 100,000 times more consistent or error-free or something. So it's just, it's not good news. Like any news about quantum is basically not good news because it means that something's, they've figured something out. And anyway, so there hasn't been any, as far as I'm aware, there's no news in the Bitcoin world. But anyway.
Well, at least, hey, look, you got a new shirt. And look, hey, I just realised, Jared, how come Nick gets a little back support cushion?
Because I'm whinged about it more than you do.
I can get that hemorrhoid pillow back if you want.
Well, maybe I need that. Oh, mate. It's been tough. Look, it's been tough out there. But, we have said this many, many times. It's always darkest before the dawn. The problem is we've had about 4 dawns. Each one
Just
is
keeps getting
darker than the
darker,
last.
Yeah. Oh, well.
Yeah. Are you tired of winning yet, Nick? That is the question.
So tired. Yeah. Nothing else this week, I think.
It has been a quiet week.
There was some more bearish news, if you want.
Please.
So some guys claiming that we're in a hashing bear market, like a Bitcoin hashing bear market, because the hashing values are going down. It wasn't really newsworthy. The more I looked into it, the more I was like, okay, we're actually in this ridiculous boom cycle for hashing, and it's now coming off a bit because prices are down, and it kind of makes sense. But yeah,
I like that, Skynet. I like it. This podcast is a buy signal.
Yes.
The only question is, buy signal for what?
The more depressed we are, the more it is a time to buy.
yeah,
You know what? I'm still having a great time. Even if the market hasn't been quite our friend yet, just more value. Ugh. More value.
just, yeah. I can't get another shirt though. I decided this is enough. Like,
Cost of living.
yeah, I can't keep buying new shirts. That's for sure. The other one was too orange. This one, I think I'm happy with this color.
I'm happy with the colour.
Yeah.
I'm happy with the colour. When we AI enhanced both of us, like for some reason, all it enhanced was our sun damage.
No, you looked like a different person. Like I barely recognise you. It was Uncanny Valley for you.
Oh, really?
Like they changed your face. Yeah.
Change your names like Cody or Chase. I
Yes.
don't know why.
Yes. Yeah.
You live on the Central Coast and you do eel fishing.
Eel fishing. Yeah.
Eel
I
fishing.
believe it.
Alrighty. Well, folks, any other questions from the crowd before we start wrapping things up? Because it would be. Oh man, it is bear market. We can't even pay for the internet bill because YouTube crashed on us. Things are tough. But no, Jared, this week Charles did go, you know what, boys, I'm sorry. There was a video. Can you bring us up to speed on that? Because he more or less said, I give up.
No, I can't. But the title of the video is Why Cardano is the ecosystem to run the world. Now, if that isn't bullish, I don't know what is.
Sounds like cope to me. It's like Cardano is down quite a lot. So what happened? There was something that happened in Cardano, and they dumped like 30 cents or something, or 30% or something like that.
A few things. So there was a few players that stepped out. So there was an aggregator.
Oh, that's right. What was it called?
It's called Tap Tools.
Tap Tools. Yes.
And then most times when you have an announcement of a system shutting down, you generally get, thanks for the memories kind of comments. Instead, every other project decided to copy the announcement, but at the end saying, in the end, we've decided to continue operating. And so everyone took the Mickey
salty.
out of this thing, and then there was all these fights of, why can't you take things seriously? Oh yeah, so Charles also basically got up and did his whole spiel of, hey, I don't run Cardano, it's governance, it's open source, it's you guys, so if it sucks, it's your fault.
All right, we've got a question from the audience actually. July 1st exchanges have to pass on history to some government organisation. So I'm guessing this is talking about the travel rule.
Not quite.
Would you know what it's referring to?
Okay, so from 1 July, yes, so probably long overdue. To run a digital asset platform like us, you will need to have, or in the process of acquiring a AFSL for crypto. And also the travel rule is coming into place. I'm not aware of anything that says you have to pass on your history to some government organisation. I'm not aware of anything like that. There is the travel rule, which means you need to, sending and receiving crypto addresses need to share information, really. So you kind of need to go, hey, I'm sending, between exchanges, for example, you're sending crypto between, I don't know, Binance and Independent Reserve, for example.
Yeah.
You'd need to share information about who, in the same way we have to do with payments right now.
Yeah.
For fiat payments. But that's not your entire history. I'm not aware of anything that sort of says 1 July exchanges have to pass on history to some. I'm not aware of anything.
No, not travel rules, not respective. So all exchanges already are beholden to all government agencies, basically. And if you can read between the lines there, the ATO is very interested in what you're doing, so they get your history already. But that's nothing. That's not nothing new. That's always existed, and July 1st doesn't change that. Pull out of exchanges before then. That's not going to help. So in a scenario, let's just say there was a new exchanges history government organisation that we suddenly had to start reporting all of your history to. Pulling out of exchanges before then is probably not going to help because we'll have the exchanges would report your history. So it's too late. Yeah, I don't know what that is. And July 1st, maybe. So next July, like 2027, there'll be some CGT stuff happening on July 1st, I guess. That'll be kind of, we'll draw a line in the sand as far as I understand for, your tax. And you can use, the old 50% whatever system prior to that. I'm kind of grasping at straws here. The travel rule is being, Skynet says, the travel rule is being constructed by only influencers, construed by only influencers as being a full back history of all transactions in governments. Oh, okay, yeah.
Yeah, that's not the
Well, then that
case.
explains it. Yes, no, there's no history we're sending. All we're doing is requiring you to basically explain where you're sending stuff to in our UI. So you would, when you add your address to your address book, basically, when you're going to withdraw crypto, you have to say, is this a personal wallet? Is this a exchange wallet? If it's an exchange wallet, you say which exchange, like Binance or wherever. And that's kind of it. So then when we send the transaction, we send that information to the receiving exchange, and that's it, job done. We say, look, Joe Blogs is sending to you, and they're calling you Binance. Then it's up to, in this case, Binance, to go, yes, we want to accept this deposit, or no, we don't. We don't, there's no sort of look back or sending history or anything like that. It's, look, I don't want to tell people how to do what they want to do, but when you're sending to a personal wallet, all you do is put in personal wallet. Do with that information what you want. There's Skynet. Yes, there's a lot of confusion from crypto investors on this topic. Yes, yeah, I didn't realize actually. And I understand. So from Independent Reserve's point of view, we've been dealing with the travel rule since 2020 or so, because we operate in Singapore, where that's travel rule has been mandatory for quite a long time. The travel rule itself is not something born out of crypto. The travel rule exists in the fiat banking world as well. When you send money internationally using the SWIFT network, you automatically, as part of the SWIFT message that gets sent with your money, conforming to the travel rule. So you're sending who you are, what you're doing, and then the receiving entity goes, okay, I see who's sending this, and they see where the money's going to, and they make sure that everything's okay and there's no sanctions getting breached or whatever. So all that's happening now is that FATCA, which is like this international governing body around this stuff, is basically saying, look, best practice here for crypto is that you guys need to follow the travel rule just like everyone else does in the fiat world. In my mind, the travel rules, I'm speaking out of school here, but it's a bit crazy to try and do it in crypto, because crypto wallet addresses are pseudo-anonymous. You don't have to, anyone can trivially create any number of wallets. You don't have to sort of identify who you are. So what does this mean? If we kind of zoom out, does this end up creating two classes of crypto, two sort of classes in the system, where one is the travel rule FATCA, we're sending to and from known exchanges who verify KYC information, all that kind of stuff, and then this other class of crypto on the same network, but that goes between personal wallets and has no actual travel rule details, because it's impossible to enforce on a private wallet. You can't, it'd be stupid for them to say, oh, private people need to do it as well, because they're like, what? My wallet doesn't even offer that. And why would I? You can't stop me from doing it, and you don't know who I am because the addresses are pseudo-anonymous. So I don't know. I don't think the outcomes of this are great. If you sort of take them to the logical conclusion, where do we end up? I don't know. This is brand new for Australia. It's going to be pretty annoying. It's already annoying in Singapore, I got to say. But it's just read the rules. It's one of those things that you can, I won't say get around, but you can sort of figure out what way works best for you.
Yeah.
And no, we don't send a history of your transactions to anyone. Even the government, we don't send, like even with this, this new travel rule thing, we're not sending anything to the government. All we're doing is sending the details to the receiving party, because they have to receive it to know that like both of us need to do the travel rule kind of thing. So it's not going to the government. But that's not to say that the government doesn't have your history anyway, because
It's all on the blockchain.
it's on the blockchain. They can ask for it. The ATO will demand it. Skynet says, to be fair, once the ATO has your primary self-custody wallet used to withdraw from an exchange, they can use on-chain analysis tools to see all downstream transactions. Yeah, exactly. So basically, once because this stuff is all on-chain forever, you can't sort of sit there and go, oh, maybe next year I'll start doing the right thing with my tax, because it is absolutely trivial for the ATO to look back in your entire history. They have all the information. So how do you I'm not saying how do you get around that. Yeah, it's one of those things where, you know, Bitcoin has been built and crypto has been built in this way to be transparent and everything on chain is visible, and that's amazing. But if you're trying to be a private person, it's actually not that great.
Yeah.
So you know, there's the statute of limitations.
Yeah.
Does that still apply when you can look back past 7 years of blockchain history?
I don't know if we've got any sort of rules around that stuff yet. It's a good question. Yeah, I'm not sure.
Just because every year that I lodge my taxes, I'm like, there's another one they can't get me for. I mean, I lodge all of my tax reports completely honestly with all real figures.
Yes, good one, Jared. Good boy. Yeah, I don't know. It's a good question. And the thing is, like, because the information's all there, there's nothing to stop them, you know, at some point going, you know what, 7 years has now become 20 years. Like,
Yeah, and I think, well, actually, I don't know, maybe I should definitely fact check this, but my understanding was you're only required to keep records or something like that for 7 years. That doesn't mean that they can never go back and investigate you for like any period of time.
yeah.
Yeah.
There is some kind of loophole thing. I remember a guy I used to work with at another company. Like, you know, he was breathing a sigh of relief after 7 years because he'd done something a bit underboard. But yeah, I don't know exactly how it applies to crypto. Antonio says, does the Clarity Act affect Australia? No, it doesn't. It's an act for the US. But, you know, the US is so big in this space, it definitely has side effects and second order effects. Skynet, hot tip, don't do any crime. Just file your taxes correctly. Yep. 100% agree. There is, like, you don't want to be looking over your shoulder for the rest of your life. Like, that's
I don't know.
Sure. Depends on your risk tolerance.
I would check that's. I think might have to. I can't remember. I don't know.
But there we go.
It seems like
Skynet says audits have no time limits.
No, there you go.
I believe that. Yeah, this is just not worth the stress in my mind. And I'm not looking at you, Jared, because I know you've done your taxes perfectly. But anyone else out there listening who's just thinking, you know what, I've done a bunch of amazing stuff, and I bought some, you know, dog whiff hat when it was worth, you know, 0.001 of a cent, and now I'm rich. Yeah. Yeah. Good luck to you.
Very good. All right. Well, managed to make something out of nothing. I think.
Yeah. Thanks, listeners.
Thanks, listeners. You know what? I'm so happy that people actually. After the week that we just had, I thought no one was going to tune in.
Yeah.
I'm so happy. Like, we had viewers. This is incredible. You people out there are as sick as we are.
Well, maybe they've just all got nothing else to do.
No, I love it. That's really good. Thank you again for all the comments. And next week, something special. Chairs. All right. Nick and I won't be there. We'll be popping in. Jared, you'll see more of Jared. You'll see loads of chairs. We'll have probably no curtains, which I know many of our viewers will now be disappointed with. Like, what? Because once you go up a step, and you're like, man, I really like those curtains. You can't go back to no curtains.
You know, it would be amazing if the curtains weren't behind us, but in front of us. And then when the thing closes, you know, well,
Our curtains don't match the drapes, though.
I would like to see. I'm looking forward to when we are back from the next week. What kind of curtain editions we will have?
Yeah.
Maybe even chair editions. I don't know. Look, I'm just trying to build it up because I can't promise you.
there's nothing else to talk about.
I can't promise you markets will be up.
Yep. All right. I think that was good.
Thanks for stopping by, everyone. Stop by for the chairs next week. We'll see you the week after. And as always, like, subscribe, do your thing. We'll see you then.
Yep. Thank you.